Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, places binding by AFTERBIRTH Plus. We're never losing again. I almost forgot to say that. Last run, we never got to 10, but we started at like an 8 and we stayed there for a long time. Good speed, good rate of fire, damage is okay. Spacebar items about average. Luck is good. ERC3 ZCYY. Now, we're gonna have to adjust because we were in a position. Ooh, what? No needle has ever been threaded like that needle right there. I was confident if we missed one, we had the other one backing us up. Oh my god. It's not like catastrophic, it's just a little annoying. It'll either cost us a bomb or a Bob's Rod and Head charge to get that tinted rock open, but it's just funny, really. I can't believe it could even slide through there. But still. Still looking like it's another long day of recording Isaac in front of me. Ooh, 5 extra bombs, huh? I love recording Isaac, sincerely. It's, at this point in my life, it's really just become, it's like the easiest thing I do, really, is, you know, hit the record button, and, ooh, I'll definitely take that. Most of the time, this ends up being well worth it, but we'll see if that proves true here. But I'm still waiting on, like, the run from this session that makes me feel like we've done like, this is our reward for being a good person on planet Earth. We haven't had that run yet, unless it was our last run and I'm ignoring it, in which case, that scares me a little bit. So we really improved our rate of fire, the cost of our damage. We'd love to compensate for that loss of damage immediately with a damage upgrade, or an all-stats upgrade, which would be even better, but it's tough luck, or the odds are not great, I should say. Polydactyl is a utility item, and a range upgrade. Well, it's not necessarily bad. We're gonna head down to the next floor because we hit all the juice early there. Answers. Now, Answers allows us to see where our secret room is, so we'll toss a bomb down there. We shouldn't... Here's the thing, and I don't get into Isaac minutia. Well, I probably get into it more often than you'd like, but I don't get into it that often, considering, you know, the breadth of strategies available. We should use... A bomb is typically much more valuable to use outside of combat in the early game, but we have enough here that even if a room seems easy, if there's even like a modest risk... Oh my god, magic mushroom. If there's even a modest risk we're gonna take damage, we should just toss one down. But now that we've got magic mush, I mean, what more can you say? We have 5 rate of fire and 4 damage on our second floor. And the shears, which I actually think might be like one of the best spacebar items in the game. Like, I think these are extremely top tier. So this is already starting to shape up to be the exact run I was just asking for. What do we need? Well, first off, I'm gonna... We do have a risk. We're in Macbeth range. Now, to be in Macbeth range is a beautiful gift. It means that your run is so good that you get overconfident. Now, overconfidence is bad. But confidence is great. Confidence indicates, you know, you got something going on to be proud of, to be happy with. There's not a sense of hope, it's a quiet sense of adequacy. Just make sure you don't take it one step too far, get yourself into trouble. Last week I fricked around and got a triple-double. Any chance you consider it? Thank you. Now that you've got that under control, we are going to get our deal with the devil. And you know... I was looking for something a little better than that, but that's okay. We'll keep shears, get some consumables. It's not a good payout from Pandora's box, but Pandora's box was free, so no big deal. And we got quite the run going on here. The D in DPS needs a little bit more juice, but the PS needs a little bit, or it doesn't leave anything to be desired, I should say. Speaking of PS, when was the last time you wrote a handwritten letter? I'm not talking about a card. I'm talking about a genuine letter sent in the mail. I'm trying to think. I feel like we grew up in a weird time, like if you're roughly the same age as me. I definitely had classes, I mean not in like university, but you know, we'd have lessons in 3rd grade that were like, this is how you address and send an envelope. And literally, I sent a bill in the mail a month and a half ago because it's the year 1900, and I had to talk to Kate, and I was like, "What do you use a stamp for? Like, it's just you put one stamp in the corner, and it's like I paid for this? What a strange system. How quaint." But I did it, and I was also like, it's kind of amazing that we're still using stickers as money or proof of purchase at least. But anyway, I can't think of the last time I actually wrote a handwritten letter though. I'm trying to think if I've written one in the 21st century. I don't know if I have since the year 2000. I mean, when you're a kid, you sometimes, I mean, it's not like a common pastime, I guess, but you might write letters for, you know, hey grandma, happy birthday or something like that. I mean, I don't think cards necessarily count, but, you know, kids sometimes, they just get things in their head. They're like, I want to write a letter tonight. Like, really? It's what being bored all the time is like. You come up with stupid stuff. Like, I distinctly remember there was one weekend, I was probably in like 6th grade. Wow, you are just taking some bad damage here. It's probably in like 6th grade. I was just like, I want to do a project on Pablo Picasso. So I booted up Encarta. I actually didn't have Encarta. It's a CD-ROM based encyclopedia. I had Infopedia, which was like an Encarta knockoff. And then I looked up all the articles on Pablo Picasso, and I wrote a little essay about Pablo Picasso, and I showed it to my parents, and they were really proud of it. I remember, like, we would have parent-teacher conferences for, like, the next 3 or 4 years. They'd be like, you know, he writes essays in his free time. I did it one time ever, and I just don't have the heart to go back and tell him. It's not because I'm necessarily, you know, intrinsically motivated. Just because I was an only child, I was, like, bored as sin. You might be saying, well, why didn't you just play video games? No, I did, like, all the time. When I was a kid, I had nothing but time. It's just like a plethora of time on a regular basis. So it was mostly just out of, you know, a certain sense of, like, I want to do anything right now. Not really out of a sense of, like, I want to motivate myself to learn some more information. Although still, if my child did it, I would definitely find it admirable as well. Lump of coal, please. Hey, dude, we're getting really lucky on this run. I mean, our pace is out of control already. And Goat Head is awesome. HP is adequate, but probably one of our earliest, like, contenders for improvement in the Spirit Heart or the Red Heart direction. But this run is going just fine. Like, everything about it is popping. And another all stats upgrade, don't mind if I do. Didn't do a whole lot for us in the damage department, did nothing for us in the tears department, but of spades, you know, a little bit of extra speed is not necessarily too, well, you're not going to write home about it, because when was the last time you wrote a letter? Tears down. We got lucky. The tears downgrade didn't apply as a tears downgrade, probably because we just had a tears up that didn't apply because we were already at the tier cap, so it just got, you know, stored and then popped off the stack there. Gulp's great though. Not doing much with 10 gulp trinkets, or 10 gulp pills, but that's okay. Hey, you idiot! Try not to walk into champions when they're shooting. Bit of a whiff there. We do have Gimpy, so there is. And dude, I can't believe how little money we've gotten on this run. I was just looking like. Surely we've been playing this run long enough that we got a great chance to get a, you know, an arcade here, and that's surprisingly not the case. We will go to our curse room for sure. Well, at some point, you know, many items can help us with Gimpy. IV bag, even if we only use it temporarily, because we don't want to get rid of the shears in all likelihood. Anything that gives us luck automatically synergizes better. Dark Bum becomes amazing because as we kill enemies and our luck stack goes up, they're going to drop way more red hearts. You get the idea. I like the idea that this guy was like going toe-to-toe with me. He was sizing me up like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Then he opened up, come on, hit me. I'll give you one free shot. And we iced him. I've never been in a fight, at least as an adult. But I imagine that's how it goes. I've seen them, which is not really that surprising. But, you know, those of you, I know there's a contingent of you who, I'm not saying there's like hundreds, but some of you watch the videos and you're like, hey, NL, I go to your alma mater. And I'm like, Oilthine, the Banrigan KR, my dudes. But when I talk about stories, you know, from my collegiate career, they go, I can relate to that. So I'll just tell you, you know, near my university, there's a little nightlife district called the Hub, and it's a weird little intersection of like two of the busiest streets in the city. And on one side of the intersection, from there to like the water, is the university. Mostly like middle class and up teenagers and young adults getting an education, right? And then north of the intersection is like people whose families have lived in the town for generations, and you know, they work as like mechanics, blue collar industry basically, you know, salt of the earth. And what happens is there's a few clubs and bars and a pizza. Not a Little Caesars, okay? I know what I said. There's a place called Pizza. It's a Canadian chain on the corner. And every weekend, drunk students and drunk townies would mix like oil and water, and there would be a fight there. Not always student on townie. Very frequently townie on townie. Sometimes student on student. But a certain, you know, sense of generational conflict happening there on a regular basis on Fridays and Saturdays. People would go there and be like, why are you at Pizza? And you're like, I'm just here to see someone get hit. That's not me saying that. I'm just saying that was the place to hit and be hit. Acropolis XL, alright. So why did I take my reflection? Well, you always gotta, it's like giving back, it's penance. There's never a better room than this one to use shears on. I did catch myself being like, we don't need to use it here. And I realized even just using it for the ability to fly is a huge positive. So we should, I know this looks like we don't need to be careful. We should be a little bit careful. And the only reason I say that is because, lucky us. The only reason I say that is because this is the last floor where we're taking half damage, I should say. So it's very important on this floor. If we could take as much HP down to the next floor as possible, that would be nice, is what I mean. So be not conservative necessarily, but don't be super aggressive with your deals with the devil. I am going to take Thunder Thighs, and the speed down is bad, but the HP is good, and our speed was high enough that it's not a huge problem. Hey, come here, you big jerk. You stinky poop lord. Okay, thank you. Wow, Curse of the Tower. For the man who has everything, Curse of the Tower. And there's our shop, so we're actually, like, pretty much good to go. If we find our boss fight, we can just go for it. Did they, and I'm not asking for a real answer, you feel like they changed the spawn rates for Small Rock? I always think like it used to show up like once every 4 or 5 tinted rocks, and I feel like that number has decreased lately. But I might have just calibrated my Small Rock expectation around like the best possible scenario, and now when I don't get that, I go, hey, what gives? You know, it's like people who started cheering for a sports team when it was in a championship season, and then they like, don't take this the wrong way, all hockey fans are cool in my book, except for those dudes in Chicago who were yelling this stuff at Devontae Smith-Pelly. Those guys are idiots. But like apart from that, almost all hockey fans are great, or at least equal in my eyes. But I notice it a lot right now with like Chicago Blackhawks fans who bought in like 2010 when the team started to be good, and now they didn't make the playoffs this season. Last season they got swept, and they're like, man, we suck. You do not suck. You won 3 Stanley Cups in the past 8 years. It's literally like the most successful team of the decade, at least as of right now, and it doesn't look like the Kings are gonna pass you. So like, there's teams out there that have not made the playoffs since 2010. Act like you've been there before, you know? We deserve to win a draft lottery this year. Well, lucky for you, deserve has nothing to do with it. But, no, you do not. Buffalo or Arizona probably deserve to win the draft lottery, and maybe I'll throw in a little love for the Canucks, who haven't been bad for long, but come by it honestly at the very least. Detroit's up there too, you know, any team that just genuinely stinks and has had a little while since their last success. And I know Detroit's got a legacy of a great performance as well. Anyway, I'm not trying to make this all about hockey. I'm just saying, you know, happens all the time. Montreal fans, you know, I know you haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1993. Same way. You're like, this is our year for the draft lottery. What are you talking about? You made the conference finals like 3 years ago. Are you out of your mind? That's an amazing performance. On average, you should win a championship like once every 31 years right now. I'm only 28. No, sorry, I'm 29. I'm old enough to get my age wrong. At least this time I got it wrong in the young direction. My favorite band. Alright. We are on our boss fights. You know what? We have a battery charge back there, so immediately use this. Otherwise, we're probably going to get hit against this guy. He's a pain in the butt. We will absolutely take that Eternal Heart. Let's grab the battery charge first. I'm super down for this. I think I'm also super down for boss rush. And, you know what? We should probably just fight Mom, huh? Even if we take a hit, starting boss rush with the battery charge will be real nice. And it's not... Mom is actually a lot easier to kill than the Champion Brownie with this build. The Champion Brownie. It sounded like... This summer, dessert becomes something more decadent. The Champion Brownie from Nestle. It's like when dessert commercials use like classical music to imply that there's a certain sense of classiness. When you're like, it's a cake that comes out of a cardboard box. Yes. And I will take Death's List. We'll probably get it to pay for itself, but we'll see. Oh, dude, both of these are really good. But Dead Eyes is the best amongst them for sure. So I'm going to use Algiz early, and there's a very subtle reason for this, believe it or not. Using Algiz early allows me to be super aggressive in fighting these guys, which hopefully, my thinking is, allows me to get to a second Shears before Algiz runs out, which then I'm hoping allows me to just sit back and enjoy the fireworks at that point. You know, the faster we get to our Algiz charges, the faster that they'll get to subsequent Algiz charges, and the happier we'll be. They are going to usually aggro the same enemy, which is no good, but less good. To say advertising's really funny, and I say that knowing that I come across as a hypocrite because I'm, you know, I exist on YouTube essentially because advertisements allow me to, but just think you always learn a little bit about what the brand wants to be from an advertisement in contrast to what it actually is. And the best one for me is always like Coors Light. And I am admittedly a beer snob. But I don't, if I go over to my friend's house and he's like, have a Coors Light, we got a fridge full of them. I'm like, thank you so much for your generous offer. I will take you up on that, good sir, thank you. And Smirnoff Ice is another great example of a brand that does this. But the ads are always like, oh, one Coors Light, please? And then the dude cracks it, and then like 7 ladies are like, hey. That's not my experience in situations where Coors Light is commonly consumed. It's like 5 dudes slamming them. Well, you know, one of them, you know, crushes a can on his forehead, and then one of the dudes is 55 and goes, it's just like, it just goes down really easy. Like, it's just really cold. You know, that's the main thing about it. Same with Smirnoff Ice. They're always, or you know what's even better? And, you know, out of any, quote-unquote hard alcohol, liquor, spirit, etc., etc., I enjoy whiskey more than any of them, even though I almost never consume it these days as a semi-responsible adult. But Not that you can't drink responsibly anyway. You know, you get the idea. Careful. It's always like, at least in Canada, the whiskey ads are like some chubby dude in like an unwashed shirt goes up to the bar and is like, I'll have a beer, please. And then some like really handsome guy in a suit goes, 1 Dewar's. And the bartender goes like, a Dewar's? Yes! Oh, Mr. CEO, a Dewar's coming right up. And the beer drinker's like, what's a Dewar's? Distilled locally since the 14th century. In Gimli, Manitoba. Dewar's. The sophisticated drink. And I'm like, yeah, well, tell that to the puke I cleaned up in my university dorm bathroom from my roommate throwing up after having 14 shots of it in 2 hours. Dewar's, the discerning person's drink. It's not a... I made up that ad. It's not a Dewar's ad. It's actually a Gibson's ad. But still. The sophisticated taste. I don't know about that. Advertising's funny. I don't know. Once every 3 months, I gotta go on an advertising rant, I guess. Man, I hate that item. I feel like wine is the same way. Even though I'm far from a wine connoisseur, I don't doubt that you can be a wine connoisseur. I think that would be foolish. You know, so many people are into it. I would assume that they have found something they enjoy about it beyond just the ethanol content of the beverage, and they, you know, it's a hobby, right? I can definitely understand that, even if I am not at that point myself. But I always feel like, you know, the label on a bottle is just made up. Not the ingredients or the grapes used or where it's made, but like, some of them will be like, Skinny Bee. And I'm like, I know exactly what demographic you're targeting. Ladies who want to drink, but, you know, probably like young to middle-aged professionals. They're worried about their figure, but they still want to consume some wine. It's like, it's a health-conscious wine. And some of them are like, party girl, and I'm like, it's the Sex and the City demographic wine. And then some of them are like, Blaze Hill Estates. And I'm like, that's just the Skinny Bee wine, but instead of putting a lady with a purse on the label, you put like a grape on the label instead, and you go, ooh, I know, we're having a night in, I don't want party girl wine, give me some of that Blaze Hill Estates. I'm pretty sure that Blaze Hill Estates is making party girl out of the same stuff. Maybe not. There's a different tannin composition. You wouldn't understand, you Philistine. I am an idiot for that damage, but somehow we got a permanent stat upgrade for doing that room with Death's List properly, which is hilarious because it was just a button. Hey, dude, we're on a roll here. Right, you can't fly, so, I don't know, I kind of like... I might end up regretting this, and we are kind of back in that Macbeth principle area, but I kind of like our shots. I'm not ignoring Mom's Knife out of a sense of, like, duty to provide a run that has Zane. I actually quite like our tiers right now. Wow, you're just an actual jerk. Anyway, Gimpy's coming through in the clutch for us, and please allow me to say, friggin' finally. It's like the first Demon Heart, or first Spirit Heart I think we've gotten from Gimpy, which, you know, it doesn't make me upset or anything, but, like, it's about time. You know, some of us have to work for a living. That felt awesome. We're not gonna fight Hush unless our HP grows quite a lot. This is gonna hurt. And again, can't stress enough, kind of in a dangerous spot from an HP perspective. But as long as Gimpy... I mean, as long as Gimpy exists, it doesn't even really need to pay out with Spirit Hearts very often, because we should be getting Red Hearts from enemies. I'm not, like, out of my mind, right? Like, we did get Gimpy on this run. I thought we got it in our first deal with the Devil, but it seems to have paid out so rarely. Gulp, I think, is just like, sorry. Yeah, I gave you a good chance, and, you know, you still exist. Like, you know, we still got one extra trinket out of you, so I like that, but we need to go, like, Yera Algis, yeah. Oh, it's a great room for Death's List, which has really amped up our speed. See, the thing is, we probably could do Hush, and now this is where you gotta be like, no, NL, please don't. Wow. I did that so I wouldn't take damage, which in hindsight makes me look like a freaking fool. If we have a charge, we probably could do it. Even though it's gonna ignore boss armor. Or at least make, not ignore boss armor, quite the opposite. It's gonna make boss armor like real tedious to deal with. Might still be pretty solid. We don't need any of those at this point. Anyway, it looks like we're going for a pretty... Sorry, I had to burp there and I covered it up by making it look like it was a pregnant pause. It's probably looking like a pretty uneventful sort of semi-conventional victory. The most unconventional thing is we deliberately took my reflection, and admittedly that's actually pretty bad. But again, I genuinely, I don't believe that by taking bad items, I make it more likely for the game to give us good items. You know, in a real sense, like the game's gonna be like, well, because you've done this, then in the future I will give you brimstone. No, but I do believe that, you know, taking bad items is like training with, you know, resistance bands or kettlebells or something like that. You know, the fact that they're unstable forces you to build some skills, or at least keep some skills sharp, that you otherwise wouldn't if you just exclusively always go for conventional items. So I do think there's maybe a certain, not a lot, but a certain modicum of truth to the idea that by, you know, deliberately messing with the run a little bit, we may make things easier on ourselves. Very, very long-term scale. But if we ever lose because we've done that, then it's like highly not worth having done it. Because the number of wins this style of play probably gives to us is extremely low. But it's also just a way to keep things fresh, not have every run be exactly the same. I think this is a great opportunity. Pop this Algiz rune. The other items here are not worth taking. Basically, like, at all. Even if that's an HP upgrade, I'd rather have the HP. Hey, so Virus is okay. One makes you larger is meaningless. With these items, I'm not fighting Hush, even with 91 cents. It's just not the right play. But I wish it weren't like this, but I do need to caution you. Run's a little spotty, just because of our HP. Oh, thank you, Infinite. Everything else is actually, like, really good. But our HP is, unfortunately, just not quite putting us in a victorious position yet, but I got high hopes. Like, I would give us, like, a 90% chance of victory right now, even though it might look a little bit more, like we should be more conservative than that. Like, the Algiz rune helps out a ton. Gimpy helps out a ton, and our luck stat keeps improving somehow. Shears is an amazing item I should be using a lot more often. And remember, we don't need Gimpy to pay out with Spirit Hearts, although I would very much like it if it did. What we need is Gimpy to pay out with Red Hearts so that whenever we get hit, we can put ourselves back, and preferably put ourselves back on a half-heart interval. More luck. You like to see that. Virgo is not the most useful item in the game. But in lieu, and that's right, I did just use the word lieu. In lieu of permanent Polaroid invincibility, this can actually work as a good enabler for the virus and maybe help us get at some demon hearts. Now, we're late enough in the run that I expect that to probably work for us approximately 0 times, but hey, even 0 is better than none, right? What? Sorry, I was doing a JavaScript impression. Okay, well that doesn't make any sense. Mystery Sack, also pretty solid. We know, even with... Lord. Hey, Virgo, already coming through in the clutch. Come on, give me that invincibility. Let's go, dude, it worked. The virus paid out with a demon heart. It's already paid for itself. I mean, it was... Actually, it cost us an Algiz rune, so it's very hard to quantify whether or not it paid for itself, but, like, in theory. Okay, who's next? We can do this. What do you mean? I didn't ruin Death's List. I killed the enemy you asked. The other dude spawned a couple. Maybe I killed one of his minions when he spawned it. Like, the dude that we killed first. I don't know, man. Just hold strong and hold steady. You're good here. Oh, but we got one back from the virus. Dude, the virus is doing more for us than Gimpy does. That doesn't happen very frequently. Yes, I said frequently because I thought often was too commonplace. Too much of a bourgeoisie word. Give me the word of the patrician class. Frequently. That's the good stuff. That's the Blaze Hill Estates of words. So, I really, and this is like a recurring theme for me, I just shouldn't have taken my reflection. But it's a relatively constructive way for us to learn this lesson. Why shouldn't we have taken it? Honestly, we rely on using our range to our advantage against a lot of these enemies, and we haven't been able to do so as easily as we would like. We end up being in danger a lot as a result of deliberately nerfing our range, which is, I mean, there was just no real reason to do it. I just hate that this enemy, like, wants to spawn on top of you at all times. You stand still for 20 minutes, and, he's still like, you know what? I'm gonna spawn right on you. Luckily, okay, luckily lots of demon hearts. You wouldn't know because we keep losing them as soon as we get them, but...
Full health.
A Tears upgrade?
48-hour energy.
Keep taking the Tears ups. They kind of store.
Infested.
Alright. Gotta be getting close to this boss fight. Got to get me into this fight. Boom, 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 boom. You guys like the Beatles? You heard of this band, the Beatles? I had no map, I didn't know what I would find there. I wish I could find an Isaac that happened to reside there. Then I suddenly beat you. Did I tell you I yeet you? You can't use yeet in a Beatles parody, unless you name the parody the Yeetles. Okie dokie. We've been holding this Yera rune for 400 years. What a beautiful day for me to be able to do that. And then, good. And actually, justifies not taking the knife. Justifies not taking the knife. Great item. Not useful, but not bad. Great item. Not useful. And actually bad. Great item. Good item. Dude, we actually... 7 out of 8 is a great track record here. And the tier effects in particular are going to be quite nice. It makes me that much sadder that I very stupidly took my reflection. But hey, with the lump of coal, sometimes my reflection does work. I'm not saying it was the right decision. Most of the time it doesn't work, but sometimes it works. I actually feel like if there's another positive to point out in this run, it might be that, you know, I think we've gotten more out of Death's List statistically than maybe any other Death's List run I've ever had. And it's pretty much entirely by random happenstance. Yeah, why not? So weird, because like 2 runs ago, and it's fresh in my memory because that was like an hour and a half ago in real time. 2 runs ago, we just had a garbage run. We played so well, and we're almost never rewarded. It took us forever to make something happen on that run. This run, we kind of played like crap. Didn't make the best decisions either. And we were rewarded handsomely, although still no guppy transformation on the day, which is a little surprising for me. This goes to show you life's not fair. We're gonna make a very depressing anecdote here, you know? It's the truth in Isaac, especially. We've lost runs where we've played very well, and we've won runs handily where we played like garbage. This run was somewhere in between. I don't think we deserved to lose, but it's one of those runs where you're like, if you could just put a little bit of luck onto a future run and stop giving me good stuff on this one, that would be fine. Wow. Sure, I'll take Guillotine. This isn't Penance. This is Rate of Fire. Something, something, Sparta, something, something. Anyway, we're gonna win. Okay, that's win 28. We're getting there, dude. I'm pretty stoked. Very smooth finish here. If you enjoyed the episode, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.